And I do want to mention that Sorry is on Shen Fiora here in game number 1, which means that either the Overwhelm or the Vlad Braum was banned. I would guess the Overwhelm.
Let's see. Gonna put this over here. And we are good to go. Getting into the game. Actually gonna, there we go. Mute that for you guys. And all right, cool. Get the second hand up for everybody. And here we go. It looks like we have Twiz getting started off with Barrier. What other matchup would you rather have, Boulevard? This is great. Good stuff.
I'm actually trying to think, like, what matchup would, like, if someone was like, hey, what is the most entertaining matchup in Runeterra right now? I don't know what the answer would be.
Probably some sort of, like, Overwhelm versus something. I mean, probably Overwhelm versus something, right?
Absolutely
or no,
not. Overwhelm's so boring. You play like one card.
You know what though? We've talked about this before, right? Anything with shrooms. Like I feel like shrooms is just always an interesting matchup, right?
It's so hard to cast though.
Is it?
I have to talk about incremental percentage points and like try to run math or like watch chat do math that's just like blatantly wrong, and then like take their word for it. It sucks.
Well, we have some votes in chat. Targa. Oh, you know what? I want to do a poll on this. We're gonna do a poll real quick, chat, while we got you for the finals here, and it's gonna be.
Hold on, I'm banning Pepsi Cola.
Well, Pepsi Cola gave me the idea. What's the worst mirror match to watch in LoR?
It's so weird because like I've seen this argument in a couple of tournament chats over the last couple of days of which is worse to watch, Shen Fiora mirrors or Targon mirrors, and it's so wild to me. Because it doesn't matter. It's a non-argument. It doesn't mean anything.
All right, here we go. We got it. We're going to see. It does matter, Boulevard. And we're going to find out in a second how much it matters to chat. Okay?
That's fair.
So, Zonite Urchin, if I remember correctly, we don't really see Zonite a whole lot anymore unless I just haven't seen it pop up lately.
We see Zonite more than we see Pool Shark.
Okay, yeah.
And sometimes we'll even see both. It's still like kind of a preferential thing. There's like, you know, around 4, I want to say, flex spots in Twiz, and generally it's like, you know, you have your sort of very traditional build where you run the 12 or the 13 3-ofs and then the 1 mind meld, and then your flex slots are generally like 3rd get excited, 3rd suit up, maybe even the mind meld. And you can kind of play, sometimes even a Zap Spray Fin is generally what we're seeing cut for like either these 1-drops or, you know, some of the 1-cost spells like the Death Ray MK1 that you're such a big fan of.
Love it.
And, you know, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. Like, I don't think it's really swinging any matchup for you. We saw a lot of Zonite and Pool Shark when Shurima first dropped, and I couldn't tell if that was like as a pseudo counter to Kindred decks where it's like, oh, you know, Kindred gets a lot of 2-for-1 value against this deck, but now you're killing like my Pool Shark that was just kind of sitting there, so I have another turn with this Burblefish to stick around, or something along those lines.
All right, well, we have the Barrier deck doing what it does best, going in here in the early game. Tanya actually going to set up the block with the Twisted Fate, so not even really concerned about this Twisted Fate win con. Looks like, you know, we do already have the 2 Burblefish in hand, so I imagine we're going to try to start to go wide pretty quick here with the iterative improvement on top of the 2 Burblefish. We even have some burn here, might be able to close out the game, but there is a Star Shaping on the side of Sorry, and we know how much of an impact that. There's 2 Star Shaping on the side of Sorry, and we know how much of an impact both of those are probably going to be.
Do you mean Sharp Sight?
Or sorry, Sharp Sight. Yeah.
Because I actually thought Star Shaping, and I was sitting here looking. I'm like, hold on.
Star Shaping,
Ionia
Sharp
Demacia,
Sight, same thing.
Bilgewater PNZ. I was going to call it Shenron again.
That's what I have had to catch myself multiple times since that cast in round 7 of like not saying the other name we were starting to make for the card.
That's what you say, but you've said Betty White more
well,
than
yeah,
you
see
said
it, I
Fiora.
still do it. Betty White on the field. Oh, my God. Next is Joan of Arc coming down as well. 2 Joan of Arc.
Stop this. Get some
Oh,
help.
man. What have we created? So, lots of damage being pushed. I mean, so, Sorry really off to a quick start here. Doing a good job. Getting the pressure going. Here's the downside. Lots of spells in Sorry's hand. Not a lot of units. But we already have a leveled up Fiora, and 2 of those spells are combat tricks. So not to mention a rally. So we might actually get what looks to be a pretty quick Fiora win con off here for Sari. Or just lose to the elusives from Tanya. Because honestly, that could happen.
I think with double sharp sight, there's no way you lose to the elusives on the following turn.
Yep.
And I think the bigger concern is that if you do go for a concerted strike to sort of play mana efficient on this turn and just take out one of these burble fishes, you do get a little bit punished by the Mystic Shot Get Excited. It is going to force out one of your sharp sights. Although now with the Repose top deck, I think that Sari is actually just like is sort of in a good enough position that they might not be able to lose from here.
Wow, we
should be able to get the Fiora win con.
We have almost a unanimous vote here. 25 out of 27 votes were barrier versus barrier is the worst mirror match to watch in Legends of Runeterra. Targon versus Targon get a whole 2. A whole 2.
Nobody voting for Twiz v Twiz.
Nobody voting for Twiz v Twiz. Which I guess, like, there's always the, oh my god, he top decked a Mind Meld. Like, you know, there's some pretty crazy top decks, or like Mystic Shot or Get Excited in that matchup. But I'm surprised Targon can be really grindy, long games. I think for casters, it's a little bit harder to do Targon games, but for players, there's not a whole lot going on with barrier versus barrier mirror match.
I mean, it's such a weird argument to have, because what you are trying to do, if you're trying to like convince someone that one mirror is less boring, is you are trying to convince me to like something that I don't like. Could you imagine trying to do that with anything else? If like we went to see a movie and you were like, what did you think? And I was like, I didn't like it. And you were like, we are not leaving this booth until you like this movie. And I'm going to tell you why you should like it. And it's like, that's not how things work in anything.
Oh, man. Well, Fiora looking to possibly get another kill here just with the sharp sight block, which this is going to prompt either, yeah, it looks like a Get Excited. We have the Mystic Shot on backup as well. We could just... Actually, if we just play out single combat and concerted strike, we just win here, right? No matter what.
Absolutely not. Are you trying to target a Fizz?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Fizz. Okay, never mind. Yes, I was trying to target a Fizz.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly 100% what I was trying to do. I was like, 2 units? That's a win.
You get the stars in your eyes. You see everything line up, and you're like, yeah, I got it. And then you remember that Fizz does what Fizz does, and you're like, ooh.
Never mind.
That was a big oof.
And, oh, man, it feels bad. We are still going to get this third kill off, though. Onto this Fizz, because we have plenty of other options. We have a sharp sight we could play. We could... No, we can't. The concerted strike isn't going to do anything.
I don't think any of these are technically, quote-unquote, the safest line.
Yeah.
Whether you sharp sight or throw out a barrier spell, you're still losing to a second Mystic Shot.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it does feel bad, but I think no matter what, you have to play something, right?
You have to commit something. It's just more so that, like, none of the, like, whichever option you pick, you're not playing around anything different.
And it looks like we are going to commit the Repose.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I was trying to see if this levels
We're
up.
doing the old school casting with just the streams now. So now I do think this is going to be game, though. Because obviously that's the green light that for Sari that, okay, Tanya doesn't have another Mystic Shot at least. Maybe there's another Get Excited. Even if there is another Get Excited, we're at 2 health with the Fiora. We just sharp sight. We're good to go. And yeah, we're just going to get the challenge here. We have another barrier too. We have a single combat. I mean, this is just looking like it's just going to be the 4th kill here. Yep. Here we go.
Yep.
And there's the surrender.
So now we should get to see Braum Vlad v TFIz.
All right, and which, I mean, Braum Vlad is favored, I think, in that matchup. I mean, again, we talked about the draws, but I don't know, man. I really do feel like
when a deck is as sort of
inconsistent,
we talked about this with like Anivia, where Anivia as a counter to TFIz.
You don't draw Anivia.
Even let's say that if both decks run average. This is just hypothetical. If both decks run average, let's say Anivia has a 70% win rate against TFS. Okay. that means you're probably 50-50 at best, because Anivia does not run average very often. It is a deck that, like, when your deck can lose to itself. Actually, we banned the ROM and we're taking it into the Overwhelm.
Okay. I mean, either way, my mindset or my thought is both decks are inherently aggressive. And I think that any deck that can, we talked about this before, any deck that can out aggro this Twiz deck, I think has a pretty good shot. And I think this deck has a pretty good shot to out aggro the Twiz deck.
No, I agree. I mean, that was one of the original, I don't want to use the word counter per se to TFs, but the Scout Overwhelm lineup. That was like the first sort of sparkles in our eyes, the finish line that we saw of, like, you know, maybe we can actually beat TFs. Maybe we have a lineup here that can, you know, actually destroy this. And as players started to learn how to play the matchup a little bit better, a lot of confidence fell out of that.
I will say, though, I mean, this is the second time in a row, I don't know, with Sorry, just not drawing any of the lower curve options outside of Average and Trapper. We're not getting any of those Ruthless Raiders early, which definitely hurts this Overwhelm deck, at least getting off to a quick start. So we'll see if we can pull out a win like we did with that other game, which the same thing happened. We played Average and Trapper, and the next big unit to come down was a Ancient Yeti or just something on, you know, basically turn 5.
And as cool as the go wide strategy is for Sorry, it does actually help a lot in softening up your opponent to, you know, finish them off with these bigger units like the Ruin Runner, like the Ancient Yeti, and the Alpha Wildclaw. And if you don't have that little bit of go wide damage, like the additional 3 pushed, even from like a Rock Hopper, it just feels like you're giving your opponent one more turn. And if there is one deck you do not want to give one more turn to, it's TF Fizz.
Yeah, especially when we're already looking at a super hyper aggressive start here. I mean, Suit Up on Fizz is one of the most dangerous, like, early game combos you can get or be up against. Not only that, we have Burn in hand. I mean, we have the Ballistic Bot generating ignitions. There's no heal in Sorry's deck, right? And we already have 7 damage in hand. Like, there's technically 8 if we TF red card. So it's not looking good for Sorry. We would have to assemble lethal on the next attack turn and pray. Actually, we don't have any way to... We have to pick off this Fizz this turn, right? So we have the exhaust for the Fizz, which does actually... because it's burst speed, it will actually work. And we actually even have the... What is Renekton's spell name? It's Ruthless... Predator. Okay, yeah, because I always confuse it with Ruthless Raider now. So Ruthless Predator. So we actually have plenty of ways to vulnerable things on the field and just take care of them like we're seeing now. So it might be the case where Tanya actually just doesn't have enough to close out the game. But I'm staring at 2 Wiggly Burblefish. Those are elusive units that Sorry's not going to be able to deal with.
Yeah, and we're actually going to be able to, like, double get excited the face of Sorry and then get down both burbles.
We even have a Suit Up. Yeah, it's looking like... I mean, I think you play the get excited. I was going to say play the get excited now, discard the Suit Up. That way you have the extra mana. I don't know if the extra mana is going to matter.
I think you would have had 1 extra mana, because I'm pretty sure... Oh, okay, we're just going to play out a burble first. I thought it was going to be double get excited, discard the 2 Suit Ups at the face.
Yeah, it's lethal.
You know, throw out double burble, but it looks like we've mapped it out. And I mean, you don't have to throw out the get excited this turn, right? You can just throw out the burbles, push through that little bit of damage, and then throw out the get excited on the following turn. Like, Overwhelm is a deck you can give another turn to, especially if you're killing them at fast speed on that turn.
Yeah, and I think what really did it for this game, because it's looking like Tanya is going to go ahead and take home a victory here. Having these 2 get exciteds early, I really think makes a huge difference. Or just having Burn early like that, you know, alongside obviously the typical elusive units that we're seeing. And then the Suit Up on the Fizz. I mean, these are just the perfect things to really pressure the opponent early game. And it's the difference between 1 turn, right? Like you even mentioned, that 1 extra turn. Right now, we'd have lethal on the side of Sorry. But there's just too much burn on the side of Tanya. We have the Mystic Shot now off the top. And Tanya gonna take home game number 2. Gonna take this OLS 22 finals to a 3-game series. Man, Overwhelm.
We love to see that, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm always down for a game 3 in the finals. Like that's good stuff. That's good stuff. And we love to see it. Why? Because we can see Overwhelm again, Boulevard, and that's really what we're here for, is to see more Overwhelm, right? That's what I'm here for.
Can't say that's why I got out of bed this morning.
Lucky you even got out of bed.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Getting into game 3 here. Looks like we are going to have Overwhelm versus, what do you know, Barrier. Yeah, I gotta... So, actually, just seeing that in chat now makes me want to check the deck list real quick. Because one thing I do love about red... There is no red of negation in this deck.
No, it's such a dead card in so many scenarios.
Yeah, like I guess the idea is like, oh, hey, it's like a deny and you're playing an aggressive deck and you want to have it for Ruination or whatever. But yeah, it's so hard to actually utilize. But I gotta say, the idea of really just stuffing things on the stack, multiple things, feels really good. It's one of the reasons why I had actually mentioned maybe Karma would be okay being a little bit unnerfed. I don't know how, but just because that card alone really, really targets Karma big time, being able to stuff everything on the stack. But
oh, you want 5.5 mana Karma now too?
Hey man, all I'm saying is I actually miss Ezreal Karma a little bit, and then you know what? I already regret saying that. Never mind.
Yeah,
I already regret it.
I remember the past very clearly.
Oh man, but no red negation in this deck, so we'll see if Asari is able to get off to a quick start here. We do have the Rockhopper, so this is already looking up. The good thing about Rockhopper too is, you know, it's summoning that landmark there, Soiled Sands. It actually is more impactful than you'd think. You know, it makes it so your opponent, it's not just about giving a unit vulnerable. Your opponent has to think about the order in which they play units now. Certain units you want to play first versus, you know, like we wouldn't have wanted to play a Fiora here and give it vulnerable. That feels really bad. Instead, we're basically just sacrificing our Brightsteel Protector to the gods here, but it looks like we are going to save it with the Sharp Sight. But I really like Soiled Sands for that reason. Not just, oh, hey, it gives it vulnerable, overwhelm, and vulnerable makes sense, but it actually creates a game state where your opponent has to think and play around how they would usually play their turn out. So a little bit of damage being pushed here.
Not the most effective use of this Shaped Stone if we do go for it. And if we do go for this combat trick and there is single combat coming out of Tanya, which we do see in hand, that would be not a disaster per se. Both players would kind of be at 4 cards. You still expect Sari to be running out bigger units than Tanya, but because of Sari's hand, we're not getting anything else on board until turn 6, depending on when we draw this Yeti. And we do have 2 chances of drawing the Yeti this turn thanks to the Preservarium, and we're just going to get it right off the top anyway.
Yeah, I love Preservarium, man. I love all the additional kind of like cycle and draw cards that have been added to the game with this last set. Especially Preservarium. It's one of my favorite cards, I think, from the set. I actually, when I first saw Preservarium and the Predict mechanic, as cards were being spoiled, I really was thinking maybe Shurima would be, and Rite of Negation, might have sort of like this control aspect to the region, but it's really been proving to be like more of an aggressive region more than anything.
I think that depending on what gets hit on the next balance patch, there is very much a window for Predict to like come up really big in the meta.
Yep.
Actually, I wanted to ask while we were kind of like pseudo on the topic, what's it called? What was your favorite deck to cast? What was like the one deck you just never got tired of casting?
Oh, that's a good question. Like all time?
Yeah.
Huh. My favorite deck, man. Oh, that's such a hard... Maybe... You know, now that I think back on it, I didn't mind casting TF Swain if it wasn't a mirror. Like, I kind of liked the flow of those games, and like certain things were expected, like the Leviathan, right? And having to be prepared for Leviathan, but that was before Celestials were a thing. So it was a little bit different where you weren't just like, gonna get my Fallen Comet for the Leviathan. Like you were already prepared for it, like turns.
Here's my
we're problem solved. There was a lot of there was ways to deal with it, but not as easily. So you actually had to think a little bit more and play around it. And I kind of liked casting that deck a little bit.
Mine was Deep.
I thought about saying Deep. Deep is...
I always like Deep.
Yep, Deep. I've every time new cards come out, I always think about not necessarily a Deep deck, but how to make a Maokai win condition deck. Just like a turbo, like let's get Maokai leveled and play him so we deck out our opponent, like one of those.
Yeah. Watcher's just better now.
Yeah, I guess. But Watcher, I don't see Watcher to me as not a mill win condition. Like that's not your typical standard mill win con.
No,
it's a combo, and then they might as well say you win the game next
the
turn.
One card combo.
Yeah, no, what spectral matron fate like that portion of it. Like if you get it all off in one turn.
Actually, a little surprised that that Tanya rather didn't go for the single combat with the Cythria to protect the Shen. Yeah, like why didn't we do this in combat? What was the punish?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, sorry, it does have a much larger field, so I'm not sure. And honestly, oh wait, we didn't have 8 mana up. There's no way there was a Battle Fury mana up, right?
No, we had 3
yeah.
mana.
So that's definitely not going to be a punish.
I noticed I'm a little behind. I was watching Sari's stream instead of Tanya's. I was watching the laggy one, so I think I had said that a little bit.
Maybe
late,
Shape Stone. I don't know if that. I don't think that would have impacted it.
Meant anything.
So, well, here's a single combat. Maybe just wanting to get some value out of the River Shaper and also take care of the Renekton.
This is
terrible.
over,
yeah,
right?
Shape Stone.
Sorry, just wins.
Shape Stone blows us out. This 1 mana blowout feels really good. I mean, you're going to get a card back from River Shaper, but yeah, that's not only that, you have the attack for this attack turn. Damn.
Yeah, this is just the end of the game. Sorry is going to be your OLS champion right after we get this little Renekton cinematic.
All right, sorry, throwing it back in my face, saying, you know what, you want to be on What Am I's team here? Well, here you go. I'm gonna take home the victory, and sorry, gonna be crowned the OLS 22 champion. Woo! Congrats to Sorry, man. Sari's done well in a lot of these tournaments, right? I'm pretty sure Sari's top before. I know Sari's done well in a lot of the old duels of Runeterra. So good to see Sari take home a victory here today.